Time?
Ready? Yep.
All right, I call to order the regular meeting of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District, January 9th at 6 p.m. We'll start with a roll call. I'm Karen Morgan, present.
Dave Wickman,
Roger Wendell, present. Vice President. Dave Garner, present.
We have a quorum. Thank you all. Are there any directors' disclosures matters to discuss tonight?
I wanted to mention one thing. I certainly received a lot of emails from our constituents, and I just wanted them to know they don't go unnoticed. We appreciate that kind of, or I appreciate that kind of content. Thank you.
Very good.
Read them all.
All right, any changes to the agenda?
yeah, I would like to remove point 9, legal matters, item B, the Sotera letter. Since we discussed the issue at the last meeting, I don't think there's any need to do it again, so I'd like to remove it from the agenda.
Okay, so moved.
So
Okay. Is there a second? To remove item 9B.
I'll second it just for purposes of discussion. There's a new letter.
this is the same thing as the last meeting.
So Director Wickman makes a motion, Director Garner seconds, and the discussion is, yes, this is an official letter. Probably about the same points.
Yeah, that's my point. It's in writing, but it makes all the same points as last time. And last time we said we wanted to go to court and see what the court decision is. Nothing's changed there. And all they're saying is they're willing to withdraw if we give them everything they want. We said we want to hear what the court has to say. So therefore, what is there to say today? We haven't already said.
You are referring to a pending appellate decision?
Well, they are taking us to the appellate court. They are appealing our previous decision. And this letter is saying they'll withdraw the appeal.
That's new and different than last time.
Well, that's basically the same thing as last time, is if you give them what they want, then therefore there is no need for an appeal.
See, under legal matters, I prefer to have the legal analysis of the letter done by a person we paid for the legal analysis, not you, in your expertise.
But again, my point is, we said we wanted to hear what the court has to say. That's what we said last time.
Do we have,
Yeah,
I don't recall the wording of the motion, by the way. So, can the secretary provide the exact language?
Yeah. But all right, on easy.
yeah,
Last time.
it's not they are not approved minutes. I don't know which one. I think that one was probably from
Here's
last,
the 12, here's the 5th.
yeah, the 12th.
I mean, I'll withdraw in a second.
Withdraw second. Is there another second? No. Okay, I'll second.
So
I
further
agree.
discussion.
Further discussion? We're
So
still waiting for a,
was the original intent to consider the letter, read the letter?
I received a letter and was asked to present it to the board, and I did, and I asked it to be put on the agenda. So that's the purpose. You're all.
So all we're going to do is review the letter.
All right, here's the key for it. Director Wendell moved to defer action on the TAP's request until after conclusion of the upcoming appeal process. Director Garner second. Following discussion, passed unanimously, or actually Karen opposed it.
yeah, I did.
But anyway, that was the language. We said we're gonna wait until after the conclusion of the upcoming appeals process.
Further discussion?
I'm not opposed to considering the letter, just hearing it. That's the idea here. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, so,
Okay,
yeah, I'm presenting the letter. You can take action on it or not take action on it.
Yeah,
I have
because
some comments to
We can
make
continue
about
to
it.
do nothing.
If you take it under discussion, I have some comments.
Sure.
If you don't, I will.
I like the idea of considering anything and not being obligated to take action. That's just my opinion.
Totally right.
Okay, good. Us, all in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Okay, Director Wickman is for, everyone else against, motion does not pass. Yeah, fail. There's the word I was looking for. Thank you. We don't usually have
We
those.
don't have to say that once in a while.
Thank you much.
It's okay to use the word fail. It's okay.
Very good. All right, any other changes to the agenda? Okay. On to approval of the minutes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Public comment. Skip right over that too. I'm losing it today. It's not. Can we open public comment? Every person has 5 minutes to address the board. And we will start in the room, I think, tonight. Would you like to start on this side? And if you could, so do we have that other speaker? It's right here. I'm blocking it. If you can just stand so that we can.
If you please talk a little louder. Okay. You ready to stand?
Yes, please, so that we can hear you.
Oh, I see. So I'm another David, homeowner here in Lakewood. And in my mind's eye, I imagine an auditorium and a stage and podiums. So this is a much more intimate setting than I thought, but that is all to the good. So up until a few weeks ago, I was planning to build ADU in my backyard, a small one, about 300 square feet. Had come up with the design, found the builder, then started making calls for the utilities, and particularly the water tap and sewer tap. And so, I was informed that I needed both a tap from Green Mountain Water and from Denver, since you guys buy the water from them. And so I called New Denver Water, and their tap fee, there's one for a new home build, and there's a different one, a lower one for the ADU, and there's those for in Denver and those outside Denver. We're outside Denver, and so it would be about $2,700 for the sewer and water tapping. So imagine my surprise when I spoke with the Green Mountain representative and found that it would be in total over $33,000 for the sewer and water tap, which if added to the other is 36, and not even including the trenching, et cetera. So I canceled my ADU plans. I did speak with a representative as to, why this was so high. This is in fact higher than the cost of building the ADU would be for me. And he said, well, it's to fund the replacement of the pipes here, which are getting very old, 70 years old or whatnot, which is certainly a good cause. So I just had 3 comments about that, though, the reasoning behind the policy, perhaps. And so one is that inequity. So I mean, everyone in Lakewood is going to use the new pipes, right? So the equitable answer would be raise everyone's water bill a bit. I understand that's perhaps not the most politically popular choice. So one pushes it all onto the new bills, which are not politically organized. But nonetheless, in equity, it would be to charge everyone rather equally. Then the second point is that by putting the rate so high, right, it's just, I think the ADU builds are just going to dry up, right? And so you won't be generating revenue from the new ADUs. And it's so high that people will instead build an addition. I mean, if they insist on having something, and just not let you know that it's really an ADU that they're going to rent out, right? And so it seems to me it may end up generating less revenue than a lower fee would. And finally, as I'm sure Denver Metro, like many cities, has a affordable housing crisis, and ADUs are looked to as a way to alleviate that. And it just seems like, and the city, like with the building department, has been, very accommodating with the ADU plans. I talked to them. It seems that the water board and the building department are on the same page on this issue. So anyway, just for those 3 reasons of, equity and just revenue generation and affordable housing, I hope the board might be willing to at some point soon revisit and potentially revise the recent change in that time. So that's my comment. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
David,
Dave.
yeah,
Okay.
and then, I've generally been very happy with the water board's work. I'm sorry, the only time you see me is when I have some disagreement, but I suppose you're used to that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So, yeah, I don't have any other purpose here, I think, so I'll just slip out if that's not rude.
Very good.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Yeah, thanks.
Should I go next? Sure, next in line.
Yeah.
Let me know if I'm speaking loud enough so you can hear me. My name's Peter Larner, I'm president of Brookfield. I'm Anastasia, Urban and Neil Arnie are also on the call. I think they're gonna stay on for the meeting. Thank you very much for considering the Solterra letter and not removing it from the agenda. I very much appreciate that. I'm back talking. I was here a couple months ago presenting Solterra. We're seeking our sewer permits, and we're again requesting that you please issue our sewer permits. Sir, you made the comment that you want to give them what they want. It's not what we want, it's what we're entitled to. Where all the infrastructure, as you can see, is installed in this area. We have 7 homes under construction. All the pipes are in the ground. The check has been given to the district. And all we're asking is that we please be provided our sewer permit so that we can commence construction on the balance of the project. Not doing it is driving up home pricing. If I can't move forward, I'm gonna have to lay off my staff because we're not gonna have a project to do. So I'm again requesting that you please consider issuing the permits. We have over $4 million of infrastructure sitting in the ground here, waiting so that we can move forward with our development. We understand that there's new rates were adopted. We're willing to pay the new rates. It will help the gentleman that wants to hopefully do his ADU. Maybe he can get his rates lower by us, but agreeing to pay the higher rates. We also have area 21, and I handed these maps out last time. We're another area where we have 59 units. The plans have been reviewed by Green Mountain and Fossil Ridge, and they've been approved by the board engineer. No new connections to Green Mountain system is needed. The stubs are already there in filing 19. So I'm here to again plead that you please consider our letter. We don't want legal dollars to be spent. I'm sure you guys don't want legal dollars to be spent. All we're asking is that the permits be issued so that we can go forward with our development. We're ready to go forward. I think that's everything that I have to bring up, and I'm available. I know last time I presented there was no dialogue. If you want to have dialogue, I'm here. I'll answer any questions that you need answered. But this is really causing a hardship for a project that, as I say, I mean, if this is developed, all the streets are in, all the infrastructure's in, all the sewers in the ground. We just need the tap to hook to the home. That's all we need to go forward. Is there any questions that I can answer from anyone relating to this issue?
We normally don't engage in dialogue during the public comment.
Okay, yeah. Well, I very much appreciate you leaving it on the agenda and talking about it today. If I can answer any questions at any time, please don't hesitate. And I really, I encourage you to make a favorable response tonight, and let's move forward and drop the legal fees and move forward with the development. Thank you.
Thank you. Switching my
I'll stand up over here and then you can stand.
I'm just gonna close you up on this side now.
My name's Randy Little. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I run a website, liquidopinions.com. We have about 2,500 users now of this website, and they're voicing their opinions. There's 2.5 opinions that I'm gonna come up with tonight. The first one is Solterra. Why are you messing with Solterra? That's not even in Green Mountain's district. You've already gone to court with this once, and it's been, they ruled for you or for the situation, and why are we still messing with it? The opinion of the public out there is, it sounds like I'm getting a lot of answers back that the board is taking money from developers. Now that's what I'm hearing. I'm just the messenger, you know, but they're, you know, going to lunches with developers, different things like that. And it's time to just drop this and move on, according to the public. Your board meeting is being televised every week on this website, And people are putting comments on our website where they can't talk there. Second of all, I live down there by, the Federal Center. And at the Federal Center, I personally went on a tour with 5 of my neighbors, several years ago with the Colorado EPA, head of the Colorado EPA. And the land that's there is the most, polluted land in the state of Colorado. I've come up with over probably 250 to 300 pages of problems that you're gonna have, even if you give them water, permits on that property. They've got to do so much work, it's unbelievable. And it's already been told them by the EPA to do that. So who's gonna be responsible if you guys put water permits and stuff like that in their sewer? Who's gonna be responsible 5, 10 years down the road, like an Adam Hall, promised all this stuff, and 5 or 10 years down the road, when everybody's dying from something over there, I'm not saying they are. But, if they did, who's gonna be responsible? They're gonna come back on Green Mountain? No. The developers will be gone. The citizens are gonna be hung out to dry on this. The last thing that the issue is I was here maybe a year ago and you were talking about a bridge across the ditch. I still have never really heard who's gonna pay for this. One minute I hear the city's gonna pay for it, excuse me. The next minute I hear Green Mountain's gonna pay for it. So I think you all need to get the word out to whoever is going to take care of this problem, take care of it. You can follow me on, like I said, we're now a local, national, and international news service. And we have about 2,500 RSS feeds coming into this website. You're reading news from everywhere. But this news is also going out to everywhere too. And there's a lot of other water districts and water problems and what have you throughout the country. So please, just be careful and like I said, do what's good for the citizens of Lakewood or the citizens of Green Mountain Water Board. Don't take the money now and then, 5 years down the road, you can't find the person that's responsible for this. And, we have enough problems right here in Green Mountain with the water district and the sewer line and what have you, to be going outside of that district. So thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next. I'm just here to observe today.
Good.
Does Piedmont have their own sewage treatment plant? Or
No.
you're directly associated with Denver?
Yeah, with Metro.
You got already permission to tie into Denver?
You know what, can we diagram with you later about where we're at on the processes? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna echo a lot. I'm Heidi Barthel. I've lived in Lakewood over 50 years. I most recently served on the Lakewood Advisory Commission where we, did a lot of research and troubleshot a lot of problems and began going to city council meetings and see how the council really doesn't make the decisions, the staff does. And that's, I won't go into that too much. But I want you all to consider, nothing personal against you, what you're trying to do. You're a businessman, you're in it for, some of us get all that. And I moved here to Green Mountain area 50 years ago and more. There was nothing up here. This was all vacant. Coming up Alameda after Union was a Safeway and a Standard station. And then some homes were going up on Green Mountain. So I have seen development just kind of run amok. As to your water district or any utilities that the public has to tie into, your infrastructure and your pipes, and even I would be talking to electrical people the same way. How old is it? What problems do you have with it? There needs to be a major study done first as to your capacity and what you have and are willing to deal with. And before you have those facts before you, you can't make a decision on adding any more people to it. I don't think the problem at issue is 100 more. That's not it. But you're setting a precedent by allowing somebody that sued you, and you've won a couple of times now, and then you're going to give in. The next guy coming along that wants to put 10 homes or 20 over here or rebuild an area, going to come in and do the same thing. Glennon Heights School just closed. Who knows if they're going to tear that down and want to put 30 homes there. Do not set a precedent that is unsustainable. where everybody is gonna come up and attack you and beat you up. There's also the issue of the Federal Center and what's gonna be built there. As Randy brought up, that's a highly contaminated area. 3-4 years ago, I had somebody on city council, or I think it was somebody even here, sent me the 1,000-page report the EPA put out. I read through most of that. It's amazing if that's still out there and if that still stands, and you need to do another environmental study on the Federal Center in this day and age before you send you and your people out there to dig up any kind of ground. That land should never be built on. So that is my point. Watch what you're doing, to put the studies in place before you take any action, and don't go forward with adding any more people on it, except for the 1 or 2 homes, you know, that are on individual properties that are still out there, like this fellow here with his ADU. You should probably be allowed to add that on if his land is big enough and all, and if Lakewood supports that with the planning commission, who's also running amok on his own. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Anything else? We'll move to online comments. I see Ludmilla's hand up.
Our usual cast of characters.
You'd like to unmute yourself? Yeah.
Here, aren't you lucky again? Uh-oh, here we go. Hi, good evening and Happy New Year. Hopefully we'll start the new year out right, but after seeing the agenda, I am not sure. I see Solterra's here again to strong arm our board. Entitled? Wow, here we go. Apparently per the agenda, Green Mountain Water received an offer from Solterra. What could that be? Will that offer be shared with your customers, or will the board run behind closed doors and enter into an executive session? The board needs to quit hiding from the public. The public needs to know. I am totally frustrated with the board potentially caving to the developers, and the board has already caved to the city of Lakewood regarding the ravine. This is all done behind closed doors. We need transparency. Reluctantly, the board shares the information regarding negotiations after the fact, after the negotiations are completed, not allowing the customers the opportunity to voice their opinions. I think there's a lot of doublespeak going on, or is that the way government employees speak? Someone mentioned they have a fiduciary responsibility to Green Mountain Water and the constituents. That's 100% true, but the fiduciary responsibility does not include an extraterritorial service agreement. The customers spoke out against that at the recall, and the customers are speaking now. No extraterritorial service agreement without the customer's approval. Director Gardner, you worked well in conjunction with Alex, Jeff, and Director Morgan. What happened? You are a rogue director. You aren't authorized to negotiate deals by yourself. You're not the board. You are a member of the board, especially when it comes to entities that sued Green Mountain Water that cost thousands of dollars in man time to produce documents for their case. They lost their case, simple contract law. They will lose the appeal for the same reason. Solterra is trying to use Green Mountain Water to enrich themselves by providing sewer service to the new homes and charge the homeowners double, triple, quadruple the price they pay to Green Mountain Water. Metro districts. It is ludicrous to enter into an agreement with an entity that has already backstabbed Green Mountain Water numerous times, filing a lawsuit, an appeal, and now they want us to play nice. To the board, remember you campaigned against extraterritorial, I can't even pronounce it, territorial agreements. Your customers voted for you because of that reason. I am hungry. Don't go too long on this meeting, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 1558.
President, I'd like to interrupt you. Point of personal privilege under Robert's Rules of Order.
We don't follow Robert's Rules of
I know,
Order.
I'm asking for it.
We are in the middle of public comment. Can we finish public comment? And then we will entertain any motion. Phone number ending in 1558. If you can unmute yourself.
You can press *6 to unmute on the phone.
Hi, this is
Yes,
Deborah Romero. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you. We can, thank you.
Okay, I'm standing up cheering for the woman who spoke before me. She actually stole my thunder, and it sounds like she read my letter that I sent to you guys earlier today. So that's funny that a lot of us constituents view things similarly. But really, after hearing the developer speak, I would like to speak to him, and of course you all are listening. Again, as the woman before me said, when he used the word entitled, I mean, I bristled so hard, because that is such an inaccurate depiction of what's going on. And the word entitlement is very negative to me across the board. And I would say that that statement for you guys in Rooney Valley was applicable last year, up until, not last year, 2022, until the contract expired in January of 2023. You were entitled then. If you did not get your act together to develop in the time frame that our contract with you existed, then I'm sorry, you've lost out. So you're not entitled to it at all. And it's not our problem. Fix your situation there. And I understand. I have business degrees. I get it. But the way that your entities have functioned in Rooney Valley are so despicable that any sympathy that you might have is out the window to me, because of how you have abused the Green Mountain water and how the metro districts have abused the people in Rooney Valley. It's just despicable what they pay in property taxes, most of which is, the overage goes to you guys. So I don't, you engender no sympathy whatsoever. And so, but practically speaking, yes, you have infrastructure there, which you could have built out in the contract time period. But because it's there, it is not our problem for you to finish building it. Are there not other sewer services that function in that part of the, yes, it's actually Jefferson County, not, it's not in the Green Mountain Water District, let's just put it that way. So that there are other companies that could tap into your infrastructure that you have put in, and somebody else can take care of it. But for what your company has generated a lot of negative karma, and this is, mixing my metaphors here, your chickens are coming home to roost. And I just, hearing you speak, you sound demanding and entitled, and you are not. That's, besides dittoing what the woman before me said, that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Ms. Urban?
Thank you. My name is Anastasia Urban. I am with Solterra LLC. Thank you for allowing me to speak during this public comment session. Just wanted to provide a few points of clarification that were raised by others in the public session tonight. The matters of the case that were referenced by other members of the public are part of a detailed case that did go to court. That case was specific to enforcement of a service plan related to Fossil Ridge Metro District together with Green Mountain. So to loosely say that it was a loss does not represent the full details of the case. That was multiple days in session and multiple pages that were issued by the court. again, appreciate the opportunity to speak during public session and understand that there will be further discussion tonight on the agenda regarding the Solterra letter that was sent. Myself and Neil Arney will be available for questions during that agenda item. As a reminder, Solterra LLC did develop over 1,200 units that are already connected to the Green Mountain system and are already your customers. So we are just seeking the remaining 87 units that were submitted in early January. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else online? I don't see any other hands. Going once, twice, and we will close public comment. Thank you all. And there was, Director Garner, you have a motion to add another item here?
No, I do not.
Okay,
You will have another man.
all right, that brings us to approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes. As changed.
I do have a modification to the minutes. Is there a second?
Are we doing more than one, or is there only one available currently?
Here, two.
There's December 5th and December 12th.
So the motion is to approve December 5th and December 12th minutes.
Just
Thank you. Is there a second?
second as
Okay, I did have amendments that were not passed around due to Director Wickman brought up through email after I approved them that the motion last time was made for public to open up public comment further, and that was Director Garner's motion, not mine. So I just corrected that. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous approval. Thank you all. On to financial matters.
Well, I guess we have multiple things. So, as far as the monthly operating revenues and expenses, I reviewed all those. And, I would like to make a motion that we accept those that they have presented to us. But I guess be my first motion.
For the expenses.
Correct.
Yes.
Second.
Director Hooks makes a motion. Director Garner seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous approval.
So then the second, so I reviewed the audit letter in there. Essentially, there's really not much that they're actually asking for. It's very standard. And the other things that had come up, we had actually cleared up prior to the issue of the letter. As far as like the approval for things that were being paid EFT and just a couple other minor details. And so I'd like to make another motion that we accept the audit letter that they have presented for this past calendar year. I'll second that.
Director Hooks motions, Director Wendell seconds to approve the audit engagement letter. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A unanimous approval. Thank you. And do we have a motion to approve the financial investment report?
I thought that was included with the other.
I wondered if you meant that. So yes.
Yes. So you want me to make a
Let's
third
do
motion?
another one.
So I make a third motion that financial investment report for the past month that we also accept it.
Second? Is there a second? Director Hooks motions, Director Garner makes a second. Any discussion? I have discussion. Are we ever going to look at long-term investments again? Ever? We have zero at this point.
Well, what's very difficult, that was like a big thing of mine when I got here, is because of all of the governance of literally the utilities, they very much constrict your options. They have it so narrowed that it's almost like you kind of have like this CD, that CD, this money. I mean, it's we should have made a lot of money in a lot of different areas, but because of this safety, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to, you know, to use Ludmilla, I mean, our fiduciary duty is to safeguard that money.
Yes.
And part of the things through the utilities and all that is that we do very, very, very low risk investments, and that ends up meaning that we make little to no money on them, and mostly it's just interest in all candor.
Right.
And they being the state of Colorado,
Yes.
not the staff.
Correct. Yeah, it's not them, it's the state. It's just the financial constraints and laws that we're governing.
But we do have, even if we were getting 0.5% of interest on $5 million, it would be more than zero.
Right, it does move, so we have to have so much of it liquid. So there's a couple components. I mean, you have to have so much of it liquid, so much of it allowed. He literally, from what I follow, he just, whatever is the highest earning option we have at the time is what we move the money into. And right now, we're probably getting, I mean, our interest, if you look on the financials, is substantially higher than it was in previous years, just because of how much interest rates have gone up. But, you know, I guess that'll be subject to the market and what's gonna happen. I don't have a crystal ball for the future, but.
No, but that's what I mean. He's moving it around, but he's not putting into like the CDs and the long.
I do have one other question about this, though. So on here, like, they have a management signature, which I know used to be the district manager, and then the governance, which I'm assuming is me. But I didn't know who we would have sign.
You should have Doug sign it
Okay,
for the management.
thank you.
Is this something we could talk to our lobbyist about?
You would like to change the laws for safety of investments?
Yes. Is there a number of options that are available that are highly safe?
That would be a big, a heavy lift.
If I could,
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, I've been keeping a close eye on this, and I have been speaking to certain financial institutions that are PDPA compliant. And with what the interest rate outlook is looking like, it wouldn't be a bad idea in the next few months to look for more long-term CDs. And I know our policy right now states that they should all be laddered. So I feel like February, March would be a good time to start really looking into this, because the Federal Reserve is looking into, or the forecast for them is 2024 mainly staying stable, but after that, they are looking to make moves depending on how the economy moves. But with where our reserves are at right now, it might not be a bad idea to really explore at least a portion of that, to try to keep these high rates that we have right now with our liquid pools. So
Really, so our, the portion that we have attributed to the infrastructure, does that come out of what our ready basically cash is? And so it doesn't have to be, because isn't it like almost 50% of what we have ready cash?
so our investment policy says we can't have more than 50% of our budgeted expenses for the year in long-term investments. But right now, for the 2024 budget that was approved, we are covered 100%.
Okay, and like, are we allowed, well, like with me at the bank, and I don't know the difference in what you're doing, but so like we have an option of 5, or I do 5 and usually 13 months. Is that kind of what we're looking at, give or take? To lock in, when you say long-term, I mean, how long can we go?
According to our investment policy, long-term is anything over 2 years.
Oh.
So we can go 2 to 5 years, and that classifies in our long-term
Right.
classification. So honestly, I would go longer term, just because of the economy. And if we could lock in a 5% long-term CD, that is pretty solid.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah. So that's something to look into. And I could certainly start gathering rates from the, again, PDPA compliant institutions and present that at the next meeting if that's what you'd like.
Well, that would be great for me if we want to add that to the next meeting, the February meeting.
Okay.
Good deal.
Great.
So then we are due for a vote on all in favor of the financial and investment report. Approving it.
Well, did we have a second? I mean, I made the motion, but I don't know if anyone seconded.
Director Wendell seconded,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So that was
didn't remember.
discussion.
My memory is apparently short.
Some strategy.
All in favor? Unanimous approval, thank you. On to district reports. Who'd like to go first? Maintenance?
Yes, hello. I'm
Good
here.
evening.
Sam, do you mind pulling that up?
I've got it pulled up on the TV. You want me to share it out to you so you can see it?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Excellent. All right, so we had just a district status report here with engineering and maintenance. The first graph here is just our ongoing maintenance report. Secondly, we did have 4 main breaks in December, 22 for the year, which was a little bit low on our average, so that's good. 3 were ground movement, 1 was from corrosion, so it's that again, that freeze thaw, the 35 degree temperature swings really plays havoc on our system.
Josh, what is CIP?
I'm sorry?
What is CIP?
Cast iron pipe,
Oh, thank you.
which was kind of the standard for those years, like early 50s through the 70s here in Green Mountain.
I do have a question. I watched the break on Ohio. It was just a few days ago. Is there a way to shut that water off somewhere above? And I'm just curious. It's not a criticism.
Yeah, so no, we do turn it way down. CDPHE does not allow you to shut it off. We don't want to have a negative pressure situation. So as that water line's being dug up and repaired, there's always water coming out to prevent any sort of contaminants of the soil to get into the line.
Okay. And by the way, your crew and the contractors looked like they were doing a great job to me, but I don't know anything about it. But it looked good.
Yeah, no, it was just our 5-man on-call rotation was out there. They everybody's got it down pretty good. We try to limit our time out there as much as possible.
Thank you.
Night Commercial is still working on repairs to the building here. They've started the siding. Did somebody say something?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're gonna wrap that up here in the next week or so. It's just with the weather and is kind of played havoc there for letting them finish. But once that's done, we'll have all new siding, roofs, and gutters on all of our buildings. Fed Center project. We did go through all of the RFQs that came in with great help from Karen and Todd on that. We all were pretty much in agreement on the majority of the firms that we selected for interviews. Miller Associates, who's helping us prepare all of this, they are going to reach out for times availability with these companies. And I'd like to get your availability, Karen and Todd, just so we can pin down some times to meet with these folks.
Okay, we can do.
You know, we don't have to hash that out tonight, but you know, just be on the lookout for an email to kind of schedule all that.
Yeah, thanks.
Infrastructure replacement projects, we are on target is still. The surveying's been done. We had a meeting with RG last week with a preliminary design layout. And they just had a few questions on where we want some like valve placement, hydrant placement, things like that. And what we would like to do as far as R&R, which is remove and replace, or if we want to parallel and abandon a line. So we've established that over the years that doing remove and replace does not have it encroach onto either our sewer system or have a parallel abandoned line that's going to get in the way later on down the road. So they have another meeting with us on the 17th to do one last review before they send it off to Denver Water in the city of Lakewood. With those streets and all those projects, we're going to break them up into 2 projects. So we'll have 2 bids out. Here again, still probably in early February, depending on, how quickly Denver gets through it. But RG is very, very familiar with Denver's process, so that there shouldn't be any hiccups there.
No, I'm sorry, Josh, what did you say about the review and replace? Was that for a specific thing, or you're just doing that in general?
Yeah, so rather than abandon the existing line that's in the street and laying a new line next to it.
Was that for all the projects?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll remove the old one. It'll put all the customers on temporary water. So they'll be, they won't have too many interruptions. It'll only be for tie-ins. So.
Okay.
And that keeps our new pipe secure, because you still have native soil around the trench, like it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. And we just remove that old pipe and put a new one in.
What were you doing before? I don't.
There's been some instances where there was room in the street and we would abandon the pipe, shift it over about 3 feet and dig a new trench.
Yeah, okay. So that was just standard, or was it a case by case?
It was kind of a case by case, but we've standardized just doing remove and replace.
Okay.
As crowded as the streets are becoming with all the new fiber going in and gas line replacements, we have that easement in that location already. So we're just trying to utilize what we already have.
Thank you.
That was an issue up by the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Either gang or sang, members too. Everybody was working at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Homeowners were unhappy.
Yeah. All right.
And then, again, that we'll have that bid opening we'll have at the district office. That'll be advertised, all the bidders, and, it's a public meeting. So they'll all be unsealed together, and the low bid will be announced, or the low bids, since we're having 2 projects.
So, yeah, and is part of the process going to be that we evaluate the bids on other qualifications besides the low bid? We'll look at all of those.
Yeah, the engineering firm that's, we'll have Miller take a look, look at the contractor's qualifications. There's a lot that goes into the bid for their lump sum price, and then references and if we've had prior experience with them from either a development or contractor for a development or for previous years of infrastructure replacement for us.
Okay. Terry had an evaluation that he would provide when we had a bid. I don't remember what that, if I can think of an example, but I'm sure you can find one of those too.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it lays out, is just references to the contractor and their funding and how stable of a company they are and all that kind of stuff does play a role.
Okay. Very good. Excellent. Thanks for thinking all that through.
Yep.
Anything else?
Sam, was that my last slide? Oh, no, got a couple here. I had mentioned, I think in the last meeting, that car wash is trying to go in. We got a hold of JVA, and they are going to provide a memo summarizing the system impact that they would have, on both water and sewer. So they're, that nothing has been approved there. They're gonna have, once they get through that process, we'll, have Miller take a look at that again. And, they'll give us recommendations on what needs to happen.
Josh, I remember something mentioned about more than one tap for that location because of the water use. Is that?
They provided us some calculations and they were requesting a 2-inch connection. JVA on their initial review, thought that was low, and based on their fixture count, they're saying they need a 3-inch. They
Okay.
will also need a separate irrigation tap, because that is a district standard that, all irrigation is separate from domestic water. Fletcher Miller, Jefferson County is going to be replacing that school. They want to keep the existing school in operation until the new one is built, and then they're going to want to transfer services over. So they reached out a couple of weeks ago, and I've sent that off to Miller Associates as well. So they're going to start their review on that and give us feedback and recommendations. Preliminary drawings did show they're gonna need to put a loop line in to bring fire protection up to standard, because there's that was a really old school, and there's additional fire hydrants that will need to go in over there. So that's where we stand on development reviews.
Okay. Thank you. Excellent. Any questions?
Anything with the Fed Center?
We have not talked to the Fed Center recently. The only thing that's been discussed so far is getting a engineer hired to do the environmental study for us.
Sounds like something I would have done.
Lynn Miller, we can still hear you when you talk. I think. There we go. Thank you. All right. No other questions? We'll move on to director's matters, of which there are none. Crazy, right? Legal matters. Consideration of and adoption of the annual resolution.
So this is on page 44 of the board packet, and this is essentially identical to the annual resolution passed previous 3 years. This lays out your standard instructions for your compliance obligations under various state laws. If you have any questions specifically, I'm happy to address them, but I just ask that you pass this and allow your consultants and contractors to follow through on it, and staff.
Sounds good to me. Is there a motion?
I will make a motion that we accept the annual resolution of the board of directors.
I'll second that.
Director Hooks motions, Director Wendell second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Anything else?
Oh, that's it for that.
On to
9B.
9B.
So as you all are aware, I did receive a letter last week, maybe a week and a half ago, from Council for Solterra requesting that you again entertain their request for the 87 taps. And there are several proposals contained in the letter. This is a more formal settlement offer than previously, just the oral presentations that were made. I hope you've all had a chance to review the letter. Just as a note, at the top of the letter, you may have noticed that it says 408 confidential. That's a reference to a rule of evidence that states offers of settlement or compromise or communications of this type are not admissible in court for a variety of purposes. So essentially, this letter has no bearing whatsoever on the litigation, except that one of the proposals, probably all of the proposals, involves them dismissing the appeal and any alternative litigation in exchange for you approving the taps. So there's no, well, that's it.
Well, let me question you on that. I was kind of confused about that confidential thing. And it's like, I felt compelled that I couldn't talk to anybody about it. Is that what the sort of confidentiality we were talking about in that statement?
No.
Or something else?
That's particular to that particular rule of evidence, that it is offers in compromise are confidential from the court, essentially. So that letter is never going to be admitted in court as evidence.
Okay.
Basically.
But could I share that letter?
Yes.
Well, that was a good one. I didn't share it. Someone did.
I think, didn't you ask me if you could?
Yeah, but I don't think I actually shared it. But,
yeah, I think, yeah.
And obviously you've heard me talk today in general terms, that, you know, they offered to withdraw their, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But as far as, I like to make a copy and send it out, and I'm sure if I could do that, but it's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just for the board's information, to those of you who don't know, Brookfield's attorney is online.
Any other questions, comments, actions?
Has the board authorized anyone to negotiate with Brookfield?
No.
I was accused of that in a public comment, so I just thought I'd clear the air.
I see.
I haven't negotiated with anybody. Might have some opinions about how to influence them negatively or positively, but that's not negotiating. It's personal opinions.
Anything else? All right, that was fast. Anything else from you?
Nope.
All right, fast all around. Executive session need?
Not for me.
Okay. All right,
This might be a record.
this might be a record, so we can skip items 10 and 11 and move on to new business. Anybody have new business to discuss?
What do we need to bring, so again, back to the investments, is that considered new business or me just asking for it to be put on the agenda? Is that adequate?
Adequate.
Actually, I did think of something, the interviews we're going through, Dave and I still have a couple more, but have we scheduled any sort of meetings to make the decisions on all that? Because right now, all I can think of is I've got a couple interviews and that's it. What else is on?
There's one more round of interviews, right, with couple more people?
Just 2 more people on the 23rd.
Oh, wow, a ways from now.
Yeah, that was availability. So,
On their 23rd.
we talked earlier today about some options. There could be, we have to schedule a special meeting. But what I said to Director Morgan earlier today was, didn't want to commit any thoughts on that until we heard from Dylan as to how we should proceed from the 5 to a smaller number, or just decide on one. I don't want us to get out ahead of what the process has to be legally.
Yeah, so once you've completed your interviews, at this point, when you are you anticipating having a further round of reduction from the 5 to some other number, or from 5 to just making a selection?
I don't know.
Okay. If you're anticipating making a selection from the 5 directly, you need to make those names public 14 days prior to making that decision. If you're gonna have, and otherwise, if you're gonna make a reduction from 5 to 3 or something and have second interviews or something like that, then you still need to make the finalists' names public 14 days before the decision.
I thought we had talked about that last time when we were going to be making these names public as the finalists. We don't know.
I
if
think
we
that would
did.
be fine.
I don't know if we did, but,
And just a notice of finalists or something and all 5 names put on the website would suffice.
I'll make sure that is.
What about checking references? Are we gonna do that?
Sure.
Yeah, that's not really something that I participate in.
Oh,
I did it last time, for the last hire. I can do it again, or we can share the responsibilities, doesn't matter.
well, a couple of things come to mind, because on the one hand, obviously, everybody's on their best foot and you get their best. Sometimes you get the real feel when you're talking to somebody else who is disinterested, objective, and they can sit there and say, well, you know, I worked with them and this is, so that's kind of useful stuff.
Well, I would never give out a reference.
Well,
Give me a positive.
that was the other thing that comes to mind, is nobody will do references right now, because if you do a reference, you know, you get in trouble. But, so that's why I would like to hear some references, but I don't know if we're gonna do any, and,
During the interview process, I did ask if they would commit to providing 3 references, 2 professional and 1 personal, or all 3 professional. The standard I used at the Pentagon.
Do we conduct background checks on our employees here?
I don't think you have a policy generally for employees. I don't know if you have a background check policy for all employees, but for the district manager, you probably should. And probably for that position, you would be permitted to do a credit check as well, because they're gonna be handling district funds.
I would move that we conduct both for whoever the finalist is.
he's got a good point. I'm now remembering a long time ago, we were getting the choose the fire chief. And, you know, we picked the guy, I mean, he was outstanding. But it's like, yeah, we did a little check on the side. It's like, okay, he's into the mob and stuff like that. We had to kind of change it. It's like, if we hadn't done the security check, you know, we would have had a mobster.
Well, wait a minute, can you put out a fire? What's important?
Yeah, he had a lot of experience with fire.
Starting now, putting them on.
How did he get his experience? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I do remember, it's like, because I was talking about egg on your face.
Is that a second for Director Wendell's motion?
Yes.
Okay, Director Wendell makes motion, Director Wickman seconds. Any discussion? Is that for all 5 or
No,
just
for
the
the
one?
finalists.
Just the one, okay.
And I would add that, we don't have any hard and fast rules. There's timelines involved, severity of violations or whatever in somebody's past. That we consider all those things on a case by case basis, maybe the board, if there is any questionable background, the board vote on it.
Okay.
And I bring it up too,
In closed session or not?
On that question?
Yes.
Do you have a legal question about that?
No, I mean, yeah, we get to that point.
Oh, I see.
There is
You don't mean right
something
now.
material to
Yeah.
selection, and we
Yeah.
could go into closed session
Yeah.
rather than disclose something that might only be rumor.
Yes.
Make sure we're protecting
Yes.
our applicants, so we'll never have another applicant again for anything.
Yeah, we should assure the applicants that we'll maintain the highest level of privacy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval.
Good.
So the next interviews are the 23rd.
The 23rd, and there are 2 that just did final 2.
Do we want,
But we to talk about last night.
I heard Dave's ideas, which he was going, but sure, I'd love to hear
I
what
would
you.
just tell you, I was highly impressed by the 3 candidates we spoke to last night. They were knowledgeable and experienced and fun to talk to, which is a great benefit. And all of them expressed an appreciation for diverse points of view and from the board, and didn't seem at all fazed, even in the face of Dave's.
I was telling these guys, I was taking a different approach. I was trying to weed them out. It's like, if, you know, if you can't stand the heat in the kitchen, I want to know about it now. So I was kind of throwing it out there that, if we're very strict about, we want you to follow policy. And if you go what I call rogue on your own, doing your own stuff, this board's been known to get rid of people, and we don't want to do that again. So it's like, do you know what you're getting into? So far, they all said they did, but it was like, if you have your doubts, I want to know it now rather than 6 months on the job.
And they asked some questions.
We'll still be having people to interview that may be watching this. So
Yeah, I mean,
don't want to give them any more advantage than the previous candidates had.
there's a certain set of, thank you all for your questions, by the way. We incorporated your questions into what we asked, and identified whose question it was, so there's no secrecy in that. And I thought they acquitted themselves very well. We learned some things last night. I didn't know what DCD was, and I've already forgotten what it was.
Yeah, it was one of those long acronyms that once he told us, it's like, never remembered it. And I don't want to know it. It's clutter in my brain at this point.
And just as an aside, we did have one candidate who has been a board member before. And so I had some appreciation for what he was, not of this district, but it had been, how would I say this? Not surprised that, you know, the history, they've asked questions about the history of the board. And they all had done their research, all three had, you know, looked this up, but, you know, had some opinions, read some things. I thought it was a good night. We used all 2.5 hours.
Well, this is sounding like, I mean, this was just how did interviews go, so maybe there will be more to discuss.
Mhm.
Do you want to schedule a meeting after the 23rd? Give yourselves a week and then discuss what we want to do, if there's another round before the next board meeting, or you want to do it in the next board meeting in February?
I would suggest before the February board meeting, but well after the 23rd.
If you do it prior to the 29th, then that would give you 14 days of February board meeting if you were to announce finalists and you want to make a decision on that.
Yeah.
I do think that probably the best approach would be to notice the finalists being the 5.
Being the 5.
And then you get your 14 days well out of it.
We should inform the 5 finalists that we're going to do that, because we didn't tell them that.
Last night.
Not all of our finalists are in a position of having notified their bosses that they're looking. And
Yeah.
one of them was very concerned about that.
But it will, I mean, you're kind of searchable if you're on as a notice, but we're not advertising the fact to their employers.
I doubt anybody that, for example, Denver Water is searching our website to see who we're talking to. We're safe there.
The 23rd is a Tuesday. We could meet the 30th. That would give everybody a week to review the interviews. If you want to do that on the 30th, and that would be 2 weeks to a next meeting. Is that enough time if we do it on the 30th? Special meeting?
Works for me.
Would work for me as well.
Okay. All right, well, we'll plan on that special meeting for district manager discussion, narrowing down or see next step.
Do you want me to participate in that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes, Director Gardner would like you to be there. Can we ask if this will just be, can we just do a discussion, and if we need any help, we can email him afterwards, and we're still gonna have him. This wasn't a final decision, I didn't think, just make sure if we needed to do anything and make a final decision at the February meeting. So for example, come and say, I looked at the 5 interviews, I want to do another round of 2 candidates if we need to, or
I'm fine with that.
let's have,
I just always feel good when Dylan is in the room.
I know, he's just that kind of
Keeps me
person.
honest. And he's got, you know, a little one to feed now, beyond, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Yeah, we wait till they're teenagers.
Are we at item 13?
Unless anybody else has anything. Move to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Director Garner moves, second.
Second.
Director Hook, second. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
According to the EPA.
Thank you all.
The average household produces